Welcome everybody who's watching us today for our monthly business boost. We have Rick here from our Chamber Energy program, which is a great benefit that you guys have access to as chamber members, especially with all the craziness that's going on with different energy prices. This is a way that we can help save you money at your business and at your residence for any type of gas, electric, and even Rick will talk about some solar options and different things as well. So I'm super excited to have Rick here. And Rick, thank you again for being here. We so appreciate everything you do for us and for the chamber industry. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to you to go ahead and start the program and tell us a little bit more about how you can save money with the Chamber Energy program.
Great. Thanks, Wendy. Thanks for having me. Obviously, we just, as we opened the conversation earlier, that there's a lot of hot temperatures out there that's really impacting prices, but there's a lot of other dynamics that's happening. So today I'm going to talk about just what's happening in the energy market, different ways that you can reduce your costs, and some key takeaways from this presentation.
Awesome.
So we're community energy advisors and we're Verity, and those two companies have come together to really run the Chamber Energy and Sustainability Program. So the one side of the company helps your members reduce costs on electricity, natural gas for their business, for their home, and even for their employees. So if you want to offer a friends and family benefit to your employees, then you could provide that. On the Verity side, the Chamber Sustainability side, really it's about how do you reduce your overall usage? And by bringing those together through energy efficiency programs, solar, LED lighting upgrades, energy audits, all those things, you bring those together, and now you're basically reducing your total utility costs, just not one side. And as costs go up, it's even more important for folks to start thinking about how do I reduce my energy total usage, because if the rates are going up, the only way to reduce that is to use less. And so we're here to help you do that. We are in over 200 chambers of commerce. We're in a lot of affinity programs out there that we run the energy program for folks. And so we are a trusted resource. And so when folks get calls, if they get an email, if they get letters in the mail, we are that free resource that they can reach out and ask, what is this? What does this mean? If your members are getting calls at home and they don't know what to do, and maybe these folks are talking real fast and demanding that they show them their utility bill, those type of things. If it doesn't seem right, reach out to us. Let us help you navigate through that, because a lot of times folks get caught up in a situation that they didn't realize that they thought they were saving money, and they didn't realize that they locked into an agreement that cost them even more money. And more importantly, what folks need to do today is make sure that you have a copy of your contract. If you don't know you're in a contract today for your gas and electric, send us your bills. We'll review those bills and let you know if you're in a supply agreement, and we'll help you find out when those agreements end. The other piece of it is that within a company, even if you're a small company, you're getting calls all the time to save money on your natural gas and electricity. And you want to make sure that you assign one person in charge, because we're seeing more and more that maybe somebody new, a new employee, will take a phone call and somebody's in an agreement for the next 2 years, and that new employee agrees to a new agreement. So now there's two agreements going on with cancellation fees that can be very costly, and it may end up costing them more money because maybe that rate's even higher, because there's now a lot of things happening where there's variable rates, there's low introductory rates that then turn very expensive very quickly. And if you're not paying attention to your bill, you don't realize it. And then on the other side of it is that when you are paying your bill, a lot of people are paying their bill online. So they're not actually looking at their utility bill. They're just looking at the total amount. And so as those costs go up, they're thinking, well, maybe, it's hot out, so I use more electricity, so maybe that's why my bill's a little bit higher. But it may be because you got caught into a situation where your agreement termed, and now you're on a monthly variable rate that increased substantially, and you didn't realize it. But you'd be able to see that on your bill and look at your rates. So we recommend that every month, even if you pay your bill online, pull that utility bill up, take a look at your rate. If you don't know where that rate's at, send us your bill. We'll circle it. We'll show you where it's at. But again, we are that trusted resource as you're navigating through this dynamics of increasing energy costs. So we'll get into what's happened in the market. So the electricity market has been extremely volatile. There's three components that make up your utility bill. It's the energy component, so it's the natural gas going into the generator that turns a turbine that then creates electricity. That's your energy component. And then there's an ancillary component that's very small, and then there's the capacity. This chart here is your energy component. And so costs have increased. It is a little bit more volatile. The short term is less than the long term. The market's already predicting that the costs in the future are higher. So the market's already set. And so one of the big issues right now are all these data centers. So the data centers are putting pressure on the grid, and they're using a lot of power. And so the grid is really struggling to keep up. And then you add in these hot temperatures on top of it. So now all the homes, all the businesses are cranking up their air conditioning. That load is really putting a lot of pressure to ultimately impact prices. So these prices are going up from those reasons. On the capacity side, capacity has been relatively low. You can see this chart. The last capacity auction in November actually cleared at 800% higher, which could impact your members by an increase of 30%. So on their utility bill. So that locked in from June through May. So it's this June that just started of 25 through May of 26. And so this capacity auction is really designed to create new generation, to provide dollars available to incentivize folks to build new generation. And so with all the demand from the data centers, there's not enough power, so it's putting pressure on it. And that's why there's such a big increase on the capacity side to then help pay for new generation. The problem is that this market now, we're in that price increase, it's going to take several years for new generation to be built. So it can't be done overnight. So we're going to see now higher prices for sure for the next year from June to May. But the next auction that's coming up here in July is going to be for the following year. So it's going to be from June 26th to May of 27. They did put a cap on it, but they believe, a lot of analysts believe that's going to clear even higher. So that would mean that we're going to have even higher prices for the next 2 years. So as you're looking at renewing your contracts, supply agreements on the electricity side, look at going longer term, help balance that out a little bit. So take those contracts out 2 or 3 years to help spread that out. And that's ultimately, we're seeing a lot of chamber members now going with 36 or 48 months to help. So that's really what's happening on the electricity side. And how does that impact your members overall? So from a rate impact perspective, a lot of members are just getting out of their low contracts that maybe they signed a 3-year deal and their rates were about 5 cents. Well, now rates are well over 9 cents. And this chart here is 9 cents, but we're actually seeing rates coming in for some members at 10, 11, 12 cents. But if they were able to get a rate of 9 cents and their average user of 50,000 kilowatt hours, that's going to be a $2,000 a year increase just on the electricity side. So businesses need to start budgeting for this because before it was kind of cost of doing business. Now it's extremely expensive. So if a restaurant that uses 300,000, that could be a $12,000 increase. And so the money's got to come from somewhere, and the businesses can't just keep raising their prices to help cover this. So the critical piece to this whole thing is make sure that you work with somebody you trust. If you're getting phone calls, make sure you read the fine print in these contracts that you're signing. Make sure that you're locking into agreements that you understand, and we can help you navigate through all that. On the natural gas side, the market is still fairly low. It is extremely volatile. We are shipping a lot of gas overseas. And obviously, we have a lot of turmoil right now overseas with Iran and the Ukraine-Russia war that really impacted natural gas prices, but they are still fairly low. So we're recommending that folks go out at least 24 months, but maybe even go out 48 months, take advantage of these lower gas prices because the risk of them going up is much higher than the risk of them going down. And And since we use 40% of natural gas in the generation of electricity, as that demand for electricity goes up, then that's also a demand for the need for more natural gas. And so that could really impact prices. So we get into contract and supply management, and that's one of the big things that we do for members, and it's sometimes overlooked by members when they sign up for agreements, you know, and I mentioned in the beginning that a lot of them don't even know that where their agreement is or when it ends or what supplier they're with. That's really important because as they're thinking about maybe doing energy efficiency projects, it's important to make sure that you're working with a supplier that will allow you to do that. There are some suppliers that have language in their contracts that will not allow them to do solar, or that contract could be terminated and they would have to pay early termination fees. There's something called material deviation or swing within contracts, and that really allows members to fluctuate up and down their usage. And so if those agreements only give you a 5 or 10% swing, if you deviate your usage up or down each month, you could be penalized. So you want to make sure that you have enough swing or material deviation. We recommend 100%. That way it gives you 100% up or down, and you're protected. So from that perspective, then you're making sure that if you do LED lighting, solar, all that, you're protected, because if you reduce your usage by 20% through a lighting project, you're okay. So if you don't know if you're in one of those agreements that don't allow you to do that, again, send us your agreement. We can help you navigate through that. Assignment. There are some companies that are selling their company. So if they're in a good agreement, they could actually assign their supply agreement to the next buyer of their business and avoid early termination fees. There are some suppliers that if you end up selling your business or closing your business, that you don't have to pay early termination fees. So if you're thinking, hey, I have these 3 buildings, but I may end up selling one of them, or I may end up just closing the doors on one of them, make sure that you work with us so we can get you with a supplier that'll allow you to do that with no early termination fees. Or don't go with a longer term contract on that specific building, separate those out. Know when your contract ends. We are seeing contracts that when they end, they stay with the supplier, but they go to a month-to-month variable rate. And we are seeing some rates going up beyond 20 cents. So that's, you know, 2 to 2.5 times the market in some cases, depending on what rate you have. And so it happens very quickly. So for us, we're reaching out well in advance, multiple times, letting you know that your contract's up for renewal. Please reach out to us. But if you're with a supplier directly and you're not renewing, those prices could go up. And so you want to make sure, again, that you're paying attention to those rates and you're paying attention to when your contract ends. So put a tickler on your calendar to say, hey, my contract ends 90 days from now. So put it on your calendar to remind yourself. But if you're working with us, we're reminding you through emails, through phone calls, through letters. We're letting you know that your contract's coming up. And then what energy efficiency dollars are available? There are suppliers out there that really encourage energy efficiency, and one in particular will actually give you money if you do energy efficiency upgrades. So if you're going to do a project, they'll actually give you money back if you sign a supply agreement with them. Then they'll give you dollars for your energy efficiency after you provide a receipt, and we take care of all that for you. Natural gas tax exemption. We see more and more nonprofits getting caught up in paying sales tax on their natural gas, and they shouldn't. And most of the time it's because it's a nonprofit, so it's a new change of regime, it's a new board, and so somebody takes over, they don't know the contract, they didn't even know maybe that they're in a contract, and sometimes they're not paying attention to it. So you really want to make sure that you're looking at your supply bill from your natural gas company, or you're looking at your natural gas bill and you're looking at your supply rate and making sure that there's no sales tax. If you are a restaurant and you're using natural gas in the cooking process, you can reduce your sales tax by that percentage of usage of gas in your cooking process. If you're a manufacturer, same thing. And so if you're in any of those situations, or if you're on a board, reach out to your board, take a look at their bill, send it in to us, make sure that we can help them, because with those change regimes, and even churches are the same way, a lot of people are switching roles. And so we want to make sure that we help them, and that's what we do. And then what rate are you paying? That I continue to talk about it. We ask customers all the time, do you know what rate you're paying? I have no idea. That's really important because they may be overpaying and they don't realize it. And now with rates as high as they are, it can be very substantial. And then there's different types of products. So can you benefit from a different type of product instead of a fixed product? So there's a capacity pass-through product, for example, that will allow you to ultimately reduce your capacity cost by managing through a variety of different programs that we can help you set up with. So, and typically those are a little bit larger users, and those programs are out there. So when folks send in their bills for us, we're looking at all different options, the best options for them. We're making sure that we educate them so they can make the best decision for their company moving forward. So there's a lot of different projects out there that folks can do. LED lighting is a quick win. If if you haven't done that and you're a small business, go to Home Depot, buy your bulbs, put them in now, because with rates as high as they are, you're going to save, you're going to pay those back fairly quickly. And if you're a bigger company, we can send out a vendor, provide you a quote. We also, as we're looking at these different projects, we're not only looking at providing you the return on investment and making sure that your supply agreement aligns with your energy efficiency projects, but we're also looking at grants and incentives that are available for you. And so there are a lot of dollars out there that'll help pay for different projects. And it really depends on what project you're doing and where you're located. And then ultimately, we handle all the paperwork. Sometimes it requires a level 2 audit. Sometimes it requires just a documentation from your vendor, and we help navigate through all of that for your members. But it's roof replacement, so if you could do an energy efficiency upgrade. It's energy efficiency windows and doors. We're doing a chamber member close by us. They're replacing all their windows and doors, and it's $50,000. A small restaurant that had a cooler. I mean, this is a really good example. A restaurant had to replace their cooler, and it was about $25,000. It was broke. They had to replace it anyway. We were able to get them a grant for 50% off of that. And so that was just, they had to do it regardless. HVAC is another one that folks during this time of year, and it's hot and your HVAC is acting up, the first thing you do is you call your HVAC company. They come out and they say, yeah, it's bad, it needs to be replaced. They replace it. It's $30,000, $40,000. We could have got you potentially a grant for 50% off of that, or we could have got you a grant for other grants that could help pay for that. So you want to make sure that if you are looking at doing energy efficiency projects, make sure you talk to us ahead of time, because we have to file paperwork before you actually do the work. And that's the big caveat, because a lot of people will say, well, I did a lighting project last year. Can I get the grant? No, you have to apply for the grant first to then do the work. So an example, one of our biggest projects that we just finished up in Ravenna, Ohio, this particular customer installed a very big solar on their big warehouse, and they ultimately put in a $2 million solar project. We were able to get them almost $1 million grant back to pay for it. And so then what they did was they actually sold their renewable energy certificates that we sold for them back into the market and generate another 35,000. So they can't say that they're green now. They took that component away, but ultimately now they're saving almost $84,000 a year moving forward. And so how does that really benefit? You're taking advantage of the net metering. So you're pushing power back on the grid. You don't make as much money, but that is an opportunity that if you don't need it, you could push it. Most of the time during Ohio in the summertime, when usage is the highest, solar is maxing out. You're not maxing out your solar total usage. You're using it all. And then there's opportunities to lower your capacity cost through solar, and then ultimately monetize on the green RECs that I talked about selling back into the market. So right now, if you did a solar project, you can get up to 50% off on the investment tax credit. That still is available right now. Folks want to take advantage of that. Obviously, with the new administration, things are moving around. So if folks are thinking about doing solar, jump on it fairly quickly. Reach out to us. We can help you identify Can you take advantage of the investment tax credit? And then also, can you take advantage of any grants out there? Right now, the REAP grant, so the Rural Energy for America program grant, that was on pause. It is back open. It starts in July, and that is up to 50% off of energy efficiency projects. So if folks are thinking about doing HVAC, lighting, all that, send us your bills. We'll let you know if you qualify for the REAP grant, and then what is the process for it. But with the REAP grant, we have to file it first, and then they can start the work. So literally, we get all the paperwork in, takes a week or so, we file it. The next day, they can actually start the work. We can also file it on the IFCOM that if they don't get the grant, that they don't have to move forward with the project. So we could file it, and then that way, because a lot of folks, they may not be able to afford the project if they don't get the grant. So we do that all the time, where we file for the program, and then if they get it, they move forward. If they don't get it, then they don't have to move forward. That's one example. There's another grant out there right now from the Department of Development that ranges in variations each. Probably it's mostly every quarter that we're seeing it. But it's a moving target, and so it doesn't last very long. So the previous one, we ended up getting some schools on board, and I'll share with you on that. But the one prior to that, we were able to get assisted living nursing home nonprofit a grant for $250,000. So that pretty much paid for all of their lighting project and really no out of pocket. So the key with that is you need to have a level 2 audit. So if you're applying for these grants between $250,000 and $2.5 million, you have to have a level 2, and then you apply for the grant. And then if you're awarded, then you can move forward with the project and do the work. So that's just another example of grant dollars out there. So it really it's all about energy efficiency. So if your members are thinking about doing energy efficiency, have them reach out to us. This is an example of the most recent one that we did. So we filed for 3 local schools in Ohio, and we were able to get them $2.6 million. That we're really proud of that. Those go into really helping them become more efficient. And as we all know, a lot of the schools across Ohio are really struggling to pass levies and pay for the increase in costs. And so this is going to really help them out. So we were happy that they awarded the schools, and it is a ranking process. And so not everybody that files wins, but we're happy to keep trying to apply for dollars for folks. And then the biggest thing too is that these grants and incentives are stackable. So for example, we'll pick the bottom right one right now. That was the big project, the $2 million solar project. They got almost $600,000 back on the investment tax credit. They had some accelerated depreciation, and then they got the REAP grant. All in all, their net cost for a $2 million project was $3,000. And then after that, they're saving $83,000. It's amazing. And so that's just one example. There was another one, a drive-through restaurant did a solar. 91% of the project was paid for. This particular project was much cheaper. It was $118,000, very small project. They got 36,000. Almost 36,000 on investment tax credit. They got some depreciation, and then they got the REAP grant. So their net system cost was $10,800, and then they're saving $5,500 for the next 20 or 25 years. And so as we're doing that, we're helping your members understand what that looks like, and then then we're putting together a return on investment. So if they need to get funding for the rest of it, they have everything they need to go to the bank and apply for a loan to be able to then help pay for that. So the process is very simple. We have a bill review form that has your letterhead on it and all the information. So if one of your members are looking to just have their bills looked at, just a peace of mind, you fill this out, you send in your bill, and then we'll review your supply rates. We'll let you know what grants and incentives are available for you. If you're doing energy efficiency projects, we can set up a call. We can talk through some of that with you. And a lot of folks already know, hey, my HVAC system's bad. I need to replace it, but I'm kind of holding off, or I've been thinking about putting in new windows or what have you. All those things, we can talk through that with them and identify what are those opportunities, because those opportunities may not last forever. So they they definitely want to take advantage of it as soon as possible. And then on the supply side, just having a peace of mind, making sure they know where their rate's at, making sure they know if they're in a supply agreement, making sure they know when their supply agreement ends. All those things, fairly simple. You send it in to us. And if you're in a great spot, we're going to tell you you're in a great spot. Stay where you're at. You have a great rate. But in a year from now, when your contract ends, make sure you reach out to us so we can reevaluate that for you. And so key takeaways out of all this is, what rate are you paying? If you don't know, make sure you do. And then what incentives are you eligible for, and when do those incentives expire? And then what projects should you prioritize now? And so as these costs go up, I mean, we're talking about almost double the cost of what we saw before, from a 5 cent to a 10 cent on electricity. These costs, if they stick around for a couple of years, you're either paying to the utility company, or you're going to invest in your business and become more energy efficient for the long term. So that is my presentation, and here's my contact information. It's very simple to get a hold of us, but really just reaching out to you, Wendy, that then you can introduce us to them, and we can take it from there. But again, if you get phone calls that don't seem right, if they don't sit with you well, please don't commit to anything until you really read the fine print. Be careful with these low introductory rate products. Be careful with variable products, because they can get very expensive very quick, and then it takes months to get out of those contracts to get you back into a new program.
Mhm. Well, Rick, I want to thank you so much for that. This was awesome. And I'm just going to tell everybody out there too. I mean, I have personally met you and Kathy. You guys are real people, you're honest people. I mean, I've had some members, send in their information to you, and you take a look at it and you're like, you know what? You're in a good rate right now. Leave it that way. Stay with who you have. So I appreciate that if you can't do anything, you tell them that you're not one of those companies that just want you to switch just because they want you to switch. But we've had some members too that we've had go through the process, and we have one in particular saving over $1,600 a year. And now and that was a couple of years ago. So I know with the energy increasing and the prices going up, I'm sure he's saving close to $2,000 a year now. So it's amazing. And the opportunities that you have for the grants, that's what blew my mind too. Like, I didn't even realize there was an opportunity for you guys to help get projects funded for energy efficiency.
Yeah, and like I said, there's always new grants coming up, and so we're always paying attention and working directly with Department of Development and REAP and or USDA, and just trying to stay ahead of it. So as those programs are starting to come to fruition, we're already involved, so we can start letting members know, hey, here in another month there's going to be a new program coming out. So hold tight. Let's see what that looks like before you move forward on your project, and let's try to get you some dollars.
So Rick, if we have a member that's in like construction and is putting together new office buildings and things like that, would there be anything that they should reach out to you for before deciding on systems or lighting or anything to get help with stuff?
There's a variety of different rebates and incentives out there.
Okay.
So 100%, depending on the type of project. A lot of these projects are for retrofits, so they're not for new, they're for retrofits, but some
Mhm.
programs are for new projects. So depending on what that project looks like, 100%. And again, these things are moving all the time. And so all of a
Right.
sudden there may be a product out there for specifically for nonprofits, or specifically for schools, or specifically for new construction, those type of things. So we're always trying to stay on top of it. So I would encourage folks to reach out to us, get to know us, and then that way, then down the road, even if they're not doing a project today, down the road, they know, you know what, I need to call Rick and see, now we
Right.
are doing this project, I need to see what's available for us. Why not take advantage of that?
Right. And you make it so easy. We don't have to do the research and look for it. Just reach out to you, tell you what the project is, and see what happens.
Exactly.
It takes the weight completely off of us. I mean, you guys are the experts, so we leave it in your hands, which I love that because I don't have the time to sit there and research everything too and see if I can figure it out or not. So it's wonderful that you guys kind of take that off our small businesses off their plate, and we appreciate that. There's so much out there, and I just hope that everybody's had a great a chance to listen to this or will listen to this. And remember, I mean, we're here to help you. This is a money saving benefit for you and your business, even your home and your employees. So, I mean, use it, take advantage of it. All you have to do is simply send in a bill. So it's
That's it.
easy peasy, and then go from there. And if you have projects and things that you're thinking about, I mean, reach out. It doesn't hurt at all. And you might be pleasantly
Peace-
surprised with some great savings and some
Yeah.
some free money.
Yeah. And it's a peace of mind, right? So if
Right,
you send us your bills and you're in a great spot, then you know you're doing the right things. You know, you're set up.
right. Well, I appreciate it so much, Rick. You guys are amazing. I give you a huge two thumbs up on everything that you
Thank
guys
you.
are doing. We appreciate that you're here and providing this service so much. And thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I love doing this and it's all about education and spreading the word. So I appreciate you allowing us to do that and hopefully members will take advantage of it.
Yes, hopefully so. Save some money, guys. Here it is,
Yes.
the Chamber
Thank
Energy
you.
Program. All right, Rick, thank you guys so much. We appreciate you being here again.
Take care.